So I'll be keeping my talk very brief. A perfect surgery and consistent and reproducible results is my topic. And as we know that the perfect surgery, if you want to perform, you will have to pay attention to each and every details. That means pre-operative, is there any difficulty before operation? You have got to assess whether the chamber is shallow. Is the surgery going to be complicated? Do you need to prepare something extra? And biometry has to be very, very accurate. And pre-operative medication and instructions have to be very clear whether the patient is on the blood thinner or is taking anti-prostate treatment. And you should also be aware whether you need the Sionis, Pauline, all those things are available or not. You must be well acquainted with the operating microscope, phaco machine, and foot pedal control is very, very essential for the operating microscope and the phaco machine. And you must always know where the reflex is if you need it. And you must always have a mental picture where the zoom up is, where the zoom down is, so that if you need to zoom up, zoom down light, you should know the foot pedal very well. Once this is done, then we come to the various steps of the surgery, and which are each and every step has to be mastered. So I used to tell my residents that if you are not able to focus on all the steps in one go, at least for the 10 coming surgeries, you focus on one step and perfect it. Maybe it is a capsular exercise incident, it should be absolutely perfect. And then the mental analysis, what I feel is the most crucial for perfecting the surgery. If you can analyze what went wrong and how can I improve on myself, how I can put myself into a difficult situation and come out winner, how can I improve my skill as we keep on growing. These are very, very important. And watching and analyzing the videos and live surgeries of the other is very, very crucial to improve upon yourself. So let's see how not to make an incision. And we need to analyze now. If you watch this video, I'm trying to make an incision and I'm not able to go in because the eyeball is soft and the knife is blunt. So what are my choices? I go and inject the viscoelastic, increase the IOP to 30 millimeter of mercury or so. The eyeball is tense so that I can cut it. Now the eyeball is far more tight and I feel I can make the incision, but I didn't change the knife. So that was a mistake. So I'm going with this, and you can see that still a lot of force is required and I'm not able to get in, and I go with the gel. So what was needed was just simple change of knife. And when you see the whiteness around the incision, that is actually you have torn the incision, you are not cut it sharply. So whenever these white dots appear, that means your incision just you have torn it, you are not cut it. So very, very important to analyze what went wrong. Now this is another case. So many of us don't feel comfortable putting the 3-piece Sensor IUL, and the PC rent is very, very high and many people. So but I always used to feel very comfortable. I mean, I never thought I can have a PC rent with the Sensor. I put so many of them, but this was the one video. If you watch, and I really analyzed this video many times over, why it happened, what went wrong, and you will see that after seeing the video many times over, I came to know normally we turn the hand towards the left for injecting the lens. In this case, the hand was turned left slightly prematurely and the loop became vertical. While the left hand should have been turned little late, I mean, a second or so, and once it becomes vertical, it tears the capsule. So the bevel is right, and when you are injecting, we turn the bevel to the left and then come back to the right. This is how the Sensor is injected. So this is after analyzing the video in a slow motion, stopping and seeing, and then seeing the another video, I could analyze what went wrong. So you have got to analyze your own video to find out what went wrong. Of course, this is not in a serious problem because the lens, of course, we placed into the sulcus, and then we did the optic capture, and surgery was over because there is no vitreous. But of course, if it keeps on happening, you will be too scared of putting these lenses, and many of them don't put these lenses. So when we come to the improving your surgical skill now, so we know that the rhexis can be done by the forceps, by the needle. So if you are good at needle, it can be done clockwise, anti-clockwise. It can be done from the main port. It can be done from the side port. So we have to improve upon ourselves. That means you are comfortable from the main port, and anytime you want to do from the side port, you won't be able to do it. So you have got to practice from this side. If you are doing with the needle, you are very comfortable to perfect rhexis, but anytime you need to use the forceps, if you are not practicing the forceps. So when you are doing a periodic cataract, whenever you are in a difficult situation, whenever the rhexis is running out, when the cataract is soft, so there may be many situations where actually you need to use the forceps. And in this case, the rhexis is going well, but the capsule is very fragile. And when I come here, I have already cut the capsule while trying to pull it. So I go towards the central side again, not from the same side, and trying to pull it again, so that I include that cut part into the capsule. And again, I'm finding it difficult to continue. So in this case, now there is no choice but to go with the forceps. So the very important you have to go out of your comfort zone and keep on improving your surgical skill. Whatever, if you are doing a very good stop and chop, don't stop there. Try to do some direct chop and see whether you can improve it or not. Because whenever you got a Morganian cataract, loose nucleus in a mature cataract, you might have to do the direct chop. So we go with the forceps and complete the rhexis. So we need to keep on improving upon ourselves. You can't get stagnated at one place. Okay, I'm doing a good surgery. And this is another, like you can leave this capsule as such, there's slightly more coverage onto the one side. But why? Why not to learn how to do the enlarge the rhexis? And so we put on a viscoelastic, give a small nick, and then we try to enlarge this capsulotomy and have a perfect rhexis. And mind you, your rhexis, if any other surgeon watches your surgery after you've finished it, it is only by rhexis he can come to know whether the surgeon is good or not, because all other things will disappear. Corneal edema will disappear, lens will be centered. If this the rhexis is good, they will say he's a great surgeon. So you need to master your rhexis very, very well. And now we come to observation. When you come to the observation, now see that this lens is well centered, there's absolutely no problem, but you can see the capsule access margins fluttering. So that means the junules are not strong enough. They are not keeping it tight. And this the life expectancy of the patient these days is very high. So why to give such type of a capsule which is fluttering over there? You can see the rhexis margin fluttering. So if you feel that, it takes only 30 seconds to 1 minute to put on a CTR ring and cost less than 500 rupees. So these patients really pay well. So you should not hesitate and put on a CTR ring inside so that the bag is well and good focus and stabilized. So in all these cases, these are not written in any books. And this is your own observation. You have got to be observant. You have got to keep on learning, keep on improving if you want to have the perfect outcome. And it becomes very, very crucial if you are using a multifocal IOL, a toric IOL, even a half a millimeter decentration of the aspheric IOL, toric IOL, and multifocal IOL can cause a lot of glares and halos. Now, if you see this hydroimplantation, now I do all my cases hydroimplantation. It is very, very beneficial for toric. This I learned by watching Dr. Harshul Tuck in one of the live surgeries. So I found, and initially I used to make little larger rhexis because I was finding it difficult to inject. Now you can see when a smaller rhexis, I can just do hydroimplantation. So it saves the viscoelastic, it saves the time of removal of the viscoelastic, it decreases the post-op IOP height which you get is not there. It causes less inflammation. Toric IOL stability is more. So there are many advantages in this technique. But I know many of the surgeons never try to go beyond because they are doing very good surgery. They can put on a viscoelastic. What is the need to do it and why to? I mean, so if you want to improve upon yourself, you have to have a constant effort. You can't just have one surgery done and mastered and leave it over there. So you want to have a perfect surgery every time. You will have to keep on improving, keep on learning from the others. How can I go ahead further? So like in this case, I never allow the chamber to collapse in any of my cases ever at any stage of the surgery. So whenever I remove the irrigation cannula, air goes in, the fluid goes in, viscoelastic goes in. So this is absolute must. So thank you very much, Dr. Balla, inviting me, and thank you all the panelists. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Otherwise, I leave on my own.